Today I'm going to be showing you how to make samosas. I'm going to have some with vegetarian filling and others with chicken filling. You might be wondering why I'm showing you how to make something. Well, for me, cooking is very much a part of traveling, because when I travel I taste different kinds of food and I try and recreate them when I get home. Now, I've eaten samosas when I traveled in India. I've eaten samosas when I traveled all over throughout East Africa and my home country, South Africa. Samosas are very popular, especially in Durban and Cape Town. And the one thing is, wherever you go, the samosas might taste a little bit different. So the recipe I'm going to show you today is more of the Cape Malay style samosa. So I have the potatoes getting ready to boil for the potato and pea curry that I'm going to make, which will be the filling for the vegetarian option for these samosas. So for the non-vegetarian option, I'm going to make some curried chicken mince, and you can just roughly chop up an onion. It doesn't have to be very finely chopped, and you're just going to cook that until it's translucent with a little bit of fresh ginger and a garlic clove that has also been chopped up and included in that. You can add in chili if you're wanting it really hot, but because I'm in Norway and people here are a little bit afraid of spice, I'm not going to add in a fresh chili. The onions are more or less done. They're quite soft, which is how you want it. Don't cook them on a high heat. As you can see, I've got them on 5. You want them to be soft, not brown. Now is the time to add the chicken mince. Usually I cook up 2 onions and 1 kilo of mince, but because I'm not making an enormous batch, and because half of it is going to be vegetarian, I'm just using 400 grams of chicken mince. So I've just used 1 onion, and I will be reducing all the spices as well. Chicken mince is in now, and I'm going to let that cook a little before adding in the spices. So the chicken is just about cooked through. You want it to be a little bit dry. You don't want your mixture that you're going to be making to be too wet, because then it'll leak out of your samosa pastry pockets. Potatoes are boiling nicely. I'm now going to add in the spices, which it is for the 400 grams of chicken. I've used half a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of curry powder, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of ground coriander, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, and I'm trying to think what else went in. 1 teaspoon of garam masala. And I'm going to add that to the chicken, and stir this all in. Okay, so I've mixed in the spices. It's always unfortunate that the video never manages to capture the fragrances, because it smells absolutely divine. I'm going to turn it down to simmer, probably put it on to 2. Just let it simmer for a little bit so that the spices can cook through with the chicken. Okay, your chicken curry filling is done, and I've taken the potatoes off and drained them, and now I'm going to melt a little bit of butter, and I'm going to saute some onions to make the curry sauce part of the potato and pea filling. Like I did for the chicken curry filling, I've got this time a small onion because I don't want a lot of onion in the potato and pea curry. And I'm just going to let this saute until this is translucent, and then add the spices, the potato and the peas, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so the onions are perfect. Time to add in the spices. And I've got 1 teaspoon of curry powder, 1 teaspoon of garam masala, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, and half a teaspoon of dried coriander leaves. And I've got 1 teaspoon of garlic powder as well, and I'm going to be adding this in to the onion mixture. And you sort of stir it around, mix it all nicely. Next step is to add in the potatoes, and they're nice and soft, so now you sort of don't mash them completely, but you sort of like smush them a bit with the spoon. So you want them to be like roughly chopped. You don't want it to be perfect that they each the same size. We're going for a rustic one here. So we mix this all together. You're going to add in a few squirts of lemon juice. Mix that around a bit. And you're going to add in probably about half a cup or so of frozen peas. You don't want to simmer it for longer than about a minute, and there it is done. So we've got that cooling now. We've got our curry mince, chicken curry mince cooling, and it is now time to make the pastry, or also known as skins or papa. Mix it all together and reduce the heat again till about 2, so that it can just simmer a little bit, so that the potato and the peas can absorb these delicious curry flavors. Oh, this smells so amazing. So I was going to make gluten-free, and because my fillings are smelling so nice and have come out so well, I'm a bit nervous in case it doesn't work and I ruin my fillings. I was going to use pea flour, but I've decided I shouldn't be such a coward in the kitchen, seeing as this is all an experiment. Although I have made with normal flour many times before, I'm going to do half the batch with pea flour. So just in case it doesn't work, I'm going to have, the real. Well, I don't know, maybe they'll both end up being real. So you want 2 cups of flour, all-purpose flour, with half a teaspoon of turmeric, half a teaspoon of salt, and you are going to add in a cup of water. And this one, because this is just 1 cup of pea flour, I've put in a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I'll be mixing 1/2 cup of water. So you want to, don't pour in all the water in one go. You pour in a little bit at a time, and then you knead it. So you are only going to use enough water to make it that it's a soft dough, but it no longer sticks to your hands. So I'm going to be kneading this a little bit more. As you can see, I haven't used all the water. There's a little bit left. I don't want to add any more because then it's going to get far too sticky. So I'm just going to knead this a little bit, put this aside, and then see how my pea dough one is going to work out. Okay, so I've mixed the pea dough. I'm not 100% sure it's not the same consistency as the other. It feels heavier, and it's almost like pea soup that has, I don't know, congealed into a ball. I know that sounds pretty disgusting. At this stage, I'm relieved that I've made the perfect normal dough. We'll have to see what happens with this pea dough. So for this next part, you're going to take your dough and you are going to divide it into six sort of golf balls. We'll just divide it into 2 first. Okay, so we're dividing it into 2, and then each one you are going to divide into 6. So you're going to sort of make them into like thick sausages. And you're going to divide it. So this one I can divide into 3. 1. You're wanting them about the size of golf balls. 1. 2. 3. Right, let's get this. 1. 2, 3, and you're going to do the same with this other one. Okay, I'm going to divide this into 6. I'll first do it in half. Now 3 golf balls. 1, 2, 3. To be sure, my golf balls aren't exactly the same size, but it's probably because I don't play golf. I have no idea how big golf balls actually are. I just know they're quite small. Okay, so we have 2, and there we go. So I now have 6 balls about this size. And what I'm now going to be doing, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of flour over here on the surface, and then I am going to roll out each ball into the shape of a sphere. So I have my rolling surface all ready to roll these balls into spheres. I'll show you what they look like now. So this is the fun part. You've now got your little discs, and what you're going to do is you are going to put a little bit of cooking oil in a cup. If you've got one of these little spreaders, it makes it easier. And you are going to smear oil, cooking oil, cover it properly. On the top, have some corn flour, which is also gluten-free, even though these aren't the gluten-free ones yet. And you are going to sprinkle some corn flour on the top of the cooking oil. This is so that it doesn't stick. Take another disc, try and find the ones that are more or less the same size. Put that on the top. Smear with cooking oil. This is going to be so that you're going to be able to separate the skins once you've rolled them out again, which I shall be showing you. And you're going to repeat this until you have a tower of 6. Don't try and be too smart and make it bigger than 6 because it's going to be difficult. Okay, right, so there we go. Next one on. Fancy that one. It's about the same sort of size. Smear, smear, smear with the oil. This is so that they don't stick together. Sprinkle with the corn flour. And put another one on the top. Oh, this one seems to be sticking. Okay. Smear, smear, smear. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Okay, and you just keep doing that until you have a tower of 6, and then you'll do the same and create another tower of 6 with the others. What I forgot to say is don't smear the last one on the very top, or sprinkle that one, because you don't need to. Okay, ready to roll them out. Okay, so you give it a roll, you turn it over, and you just keep doing this until you end up with a nice, very flat rectangle. And the reason why we're going to be rolling it out as a rectangle is because we are going to be putting them on a baking sheet in the oven. It just sort of dries the pastry out a little bit, and it makes it easier to turn into the samosas pockets. So you want this to be really, really nice and thin. Now, as I said, these are called, you can call them wraps, you can call it papa, you can call it skins, dough, pastry. whatever blows your hair back. So I've rolled it out, and it's now time to put it onto the baking tray. On the baking tray, ready to go into the oven, 120 degrees centigrade, and you're only going to keep it in the oven for about 3 minutes, and then you're going to take it out. Take it out the oven. You don't want it to cook. And what we're going to do now is we are going to be cutting them into long strips about 6 centimeters wide. You don't need to get a ruler, and you don't need to worry about if some of the strips are not exactly the same size. So you're going to cut them into strips like this. And you can cut off all the little end bits to make it look a little bit neater. Don't throw these away, because these you can fry to make something called papa bites. These deep fry, they're a bit like chips, crisps, and you can use them with a dip or sprinkle other flavorings on them, and they're really quite nice. So the next step now is going to be to try and peel these apart. So you have to find like an edge like this to try and peel them apart. I know it is easier to probably buy ready-made skins, but you don't get them here in Norway, and I prefer the homemade ones to using the spring roll pastry. So you're going to be separating them, peeling them apart like this. Once you peel them away, you can see how thin the skins are, and you can just put them aside over there, ready to start your filling. These ones are all separated. It's now time to do the same thing with the pea flour. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not too sure how this is going to work out. So let me try and give it a go. So I've managed to roll out the discs. I'm just going to do it with 4 discs. It's a little bit tricky, but I've managed to roll it out. Let's see if I can do the smearing and the corn flour part now. So my pea flour ones, I don't know if it's going to work. I've cut it. I'm ready to try and separate it. I'm going to wait till it cools a little bit, because it looks quite crumbly. I don't know, this might be a disaster. Pea flour, when they just crumble, you can't separate them, and it's just a disaster. Not sure what I'll use with that, but thank God I did the others and I didn't just rely on the pea flour. So to start filling your samosas, you're going to need to get some like a flour water mixture. This is going to be your glue, which is very important, and you're going to lay it out like this, and then you're going to fold it over so that you've got just a little bit coming at the top over there, and then you're going to take it and fold it again this way, and you'll see now you've created a little pocket over here, and that's what you are going to fill. So now I've filled that little pocket, and I'm going to do the next fold, which is going to go like that, and then I'm going to put some of my glue on. Just use your finger to spread on your glue, and you are going to push it down, and there you have made your samosa. Just flatten the sides down so that you're not going to get oil going in. You can then fry these, or you can bake them in the oven. It is up to you. It might seem a little slow going initially with the folding, but I promise you that the more you do it, the faster you will get. So you just fold like that, leaving just a little bit there. Then again, come back this way. So you've created a pocket with a little lid. You're then going to put your filling in. Over here. Not easy to do with one hand, other hand holding the camera. A little bit more in. You don't want to make it too full, but you don't want to make your pocket too empty either. It's quite a big one. I can fill it in. Let's just be a little bit more. Okay, just push it in. So it's all nice inside the pocket. Okay, fold this a little bit over. Right, now we're going to go, remember, we're going to go up here. Right, pinch the sides a little bit. Put your glue on. And fold it over, and there you have perfect triangular shaped samosa. So you've got all your beautiful samosas ready to start cooking. Drop one of those little pieces of the papa into the oil to see when the oil's ready, and now you're going to start putting in your samosas. Ready to start deep frying them. Okay, let them cook until they are golden brown. So when they are golden brown, you want to lift them up carefully, drain the oil, and put them onto some kitchen towel to soak up any excess oil, because you don't want very oily samosas. If you want to be very, very healthy, you can bake them in the oven instead of deep frying them. That will give the pastry will be just a little bit different to the way it is now if you bake them. But I suppose fried samosas are the best. And this is that little piece of pastry papa that I put in to check the heat of the oil. This is how you want it to look. You cook them like this. You can put seasoning on, and it's almost like tortilla chips. When you've cooked up your samosas and the papa, you can decorate them nicely on a plate. You can serve them. You can make it look as pretty as you want. Like that, for instance. And you can serve it with some chutney, mango chutney, homemade chutney, and enjoy. If you don't want to cook them all at once, you can, they do freeze very well, and you can then cook them as you need them. So if you have found this video interesting, please like, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. I post videos every week. Some of them are about travel destinations, others are about travel tips, and some are like recipes that I've tasted on my travels that I've wanted to then make at home.